All right, everybody, we're here this week. I don't know when we're airing these, but as of right now, we've got 6 street parking members who are here with us to film the first 5 workouts of the 2023 Street Parking Vault. They're doing them with us. And actually, the guest on this episode is the person who did the workout with me yesterday. And I'm going to remind both of us before we get into this that we're not going to talk about what that workout was or say what it was. And we have to remember not to do that. But thought we'd sit down with everybody while we have you guys here and just get some nuggets of who you are and what your schedule is like, and also some advice to other street parking members, because all of you guys that are here are vault finishers at least once and have found at least some sense of consistency. And so we thought we'd invite you guys out. So I'm here with Ashley Branoff, and she has been a member since 2018. When did you join?
February of 2018.
You have a twin sister, Mara.
I do.
Who joined first?
Me.
You.
I joined first.
How long after you joined did she join?
Within that same year, my husband, sister, both my parents, and a bunch of my friend group joined.
We should be giving you commission.
Thank you. Yeah, I want to say between 18, 19, and 20, probably my entire gym friend group and parents and sister and everyone joined.
Are you and Mara, you guys are identical, right?
We're fraternal, actually, we think. But we were born in the 80s. My mom didn't even know she was pregnant with us till she was 7 months pregnant.
Wow.
Well, she knew she was pregnant, but she didn't know we were twins.
She didn't know both of you were there.
Yeah, and then we were born in the hallway because there was a bad snowstorm the night we were born of a hospital.
Okay.
And the doctors didn't make it. So they
couldn't throw her in a bed at least?
No, so they're like, so you're fraternal.
Oh, we don't have time to figure this out.
Yeah, because it's nursing and
there's no way to test for that now?
We have genetic testing done, we just haven't. We look enough alike that we could be.
Because I used to get you guys mixed up.
But we're enough different that we could possibly not be. I don't know. But we don't know, honestly.
Oh. Well, you guys got to let me know if you ever figured that out. So Mara is your sister. Who's older?
She is by 12 minutes.
Okay. And she lives near-ish.
Yeah, we're like 10 minutes away from each other.
Okay, really close.
Yep.
And you guys work out together. How often?
We're trying for once a week right now.
Okay. It's hard.
It's hard.
You guys both, she has 2 little kids.
She has 2 very little kids. We both have full-time jobs. I have 3 kids.
Yeah, you have 3.
Yep.
How old are your kids?
My kids are 3, 5, and 10.
Wow. That's a lot. I mean, it's a lot of activity.
It's a lot. Yeah, because we're into sports now.
Yes,
so we have
it's
driving
after
school.
Everywhere and everything. And you guys are in Michigan.
Yep.
And so you've been a member for a really long time, but you were doing fitness stuff before. You're a teacher. You're a high school science teacher. And
Correct.
There's more to that description. Tell me the rest of it.
I teach kind of the advanced level sciences. So I teach AP Environmental Science, Microbiology, Genetics, and then just basic bio. But I have taught the physical sciences before also, so jack of all trades.
Yeah, we were talking right before we started this, and you were talking about how you really enjoy your job as a teacher.
I do, yep. And I think it's sad that when people ask about the profession, everyone deters you from joining or being a teacher, and I like it. I like my schedule, my flexibility of my day where I'm not sitting all day. I enjoy the interaction with the kids. I like it.
Is it a specific grade, or is it kind of like just high school in general? So is it like 15 to 18?
I technically am certified 6th through 12. The high school's 9 through 12, but I mainly have 11th and 12th graders.
Okay, so the older
kids.
The older ones.
Yep.
You told me yesterday that your students are afraid of you.
Yeah, they're intimidated, I guess is a better.
How did you find that out?
Other teachers told me.
Oh, so
just
it wasn't even them
overhearing
joking.
Conversations from other students.
What do they say?
That just I'm just scary, they're afraid, and everyone else who knows me is like, no, she's not, she just looks that way.
Like your demeanor, I mean, you're not a large person,
no,
but you're
small.
fit.
Yeah, I think it's just my demeanor, and just I don't present I guess I don't try not to be approachable, but I guess I just present unapproachable.
Well, you got to be careful though. I can't imagine teaching high school where it's you can't be their buddy too hard.
You're not their friend.
Yeah, and because then they'll just walk all over you. I mean, I had some teachers, not that I would walk all over them, but I definitely had a few teachers growing up. I remember that I could get away with a lot.
Yep.
And I was a really good student, which actually helped me get away with even more because I could just be like, oh yeah, I'll be back, and I'm gonna go to the bathroom, and then I just leave, and stuff like that. And they were almost like my friends, you know. So I imagine that you kind of have to keep that boundary.
Yeah, I feel like I'm not easy, but I'm fair. And I just try to be like that in my classroom. But yeah, I'll hear a lot of them like, oh, I was scared, but once I got to know you, you're fine. So like,
you're preparing them for life because they're all going to have a
Yeah.
boss like that at some point that they need to just be like, oh, this person's maybe not scary. They're just.
But there's a level of respect that
keeping-
has to be there.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I think that they need that, and I still am an authority figure, whether I look young or I look fit or whatever. I'm small. So I just try to keep that boundary, especially because they are 17, 18-year-old kids.
Yeah.
Like, as you said, they're not my friend.
Yeah.
And they can't be, and I honestly don't want them to be. But it doesn't mean you can't be like a mentor to them or someone to look up to.
Yeah, I'm sure they look up to you in a lot of ways, like how well you do your job, because you know I can tell that you're really passionate about it, so you probably do it really well, and how seriously you take it. But then also like even just the way that you take care of yourself and your health and the way that you carry yourself, it's really cool. You said yesterday in the garage, I'm almost 40. How old are you?
I am 37. I'll be 38.
Not almost 40. You still
Yeah,
have
it's
3
close.
years.
If you round.
I mean, don't start rounding yet. Don't start rounding until you're like 39 and a half.
Okay.
And then you can say that. Okay, 37. And how long have you been doing this type of training, whether it was CrossFit or street parking or whatever? When did you start?
Since 2012, when my first daughter was born.
Okay, so like 10
10
years.
years. Yep.
What were you doing before that for fitness?
In high school, I ran cross country and played lacrosse. In college, I played lacrosse.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then I ran marathons in college.
Oh, my gosh.
Just because I wanted to. And then honestly, from 23 to like 27, I did nothing.
Okay.
I didn't work out at all.
Nothing.
And I just no,
Absolutely
not really.
no,
I mean, I
like
think
not even like elliptical nothing.
pretty much like a jog occasionally, but no.
Wow.
Pretty much nothing. And then I had my oldest, and I was going through a divorce, and my mom said, you might want to try this. It'll be good for your self-esteem, probably get you back into your competitiveness. She paid for my on-ramp at a gym because she was already doing CrossFit. And I couldn't even do a push-up on my knees.
Wow.
I was like, this is going to be terrible.
How did you go from being so active? I mean, like a college athlete, even. Like, because I think this actually, I don't think it's strange. Like, I think it happens a lot. Like, but I've never been able to wrap my head around it because I found fitness. I wasn't really even an athlete, but I found fitness when I was in like high school, and I've just always done some form of fitness. Like, I've never really fallen out of it. Like, what do you think happens to people that like you were active your whole life, so much so that you were a college athlete and then just stopped?
I think the structure of it was gone. Like I didn't have someone telling me what to do. Gym memberships are expensive. I was a first-year teacher. I wasn't going to pay to do it. And I didn't even know what I would have done because I've always had someone saying, you're going to run this, you're going to do this. There was no program. So I just stopped.
That's so interesting, right? I mean, you see it even with professional athletes. Like you'll see these like, you know, I don't want to like pick on anyone in particular. I don't know what they do also, but you see like a Charles Barkley who it's like, you were like one of the best basketball players of all time and you gained all this weight or whatever. And it's like, how did that happen?
Happened to my
whole
husband
life?
too.
But yeah, he did,
He was
because
a
your husband's very fit.
He was a college football player, linebacker, all-state hurdler in high school. And then after college, he stopped too. He gained 70 or 80 pounds and just stopped. And then, he found CrossFit and lost all the weight.
Did you guys meet at CrossFit?
We did. He was in Florida at the time. And then he came to the gym I was training at the time.
I know this story.
He was training at the time, was a pretty competitive gym. Like they had teams going to regionals, individuals going to regionals. And he was looking to get more into that. And I was already kind of established there. And he actually didn't talk to me for a very long time. He'd stare at me.
So he moved to Michigan, or was he just visiting?
He was working in Florida but lived in Michigan.
Okay.
So then he was just visiting-ish the gym until he officially came back to Michigan full-time. And he never talked to me, though. He said I was intimidating, just like my students.
Jeez, people are just scared of you.
But when I was at the gym, I was there to work out. I wasn't necessarily looking for anyone.
Right.
But then he made the regional team. I made the regional team. We did a couple competitions locally together, and then that's it.
You found your synchro.
Yes. My swole mate.
Do you think that, when you stopped working out, it was around the same time or at the same time as when you started working as a teacher? Do you think that the environment, and I'm not like putting any judgment on it, but from what I understand, the culture of most people that work at schools is not the most healthy culture. Do you think that added to it at all, where you're just like, well, like you weren't necessarily around people that were going to motivate you to keep staying healthy?
Yeah, I think the majority of teachers I know don't don't work out. And I think teaching in general is a job that will take anything you're willing to give. And people do that. They think in order to be the best, you have to give everything. And then at the end of the day, you're exhausted. And you gave everything emotionally and physically all day. And then you get home and you're like, that's the last thing I want to do.
I mean, I can't imagine, like, we talked about it a little bit before, but you said that, like, people or teachers, like, it's exhausting. I think it's so much more exhausting than people realize. I think I have a small taste of it because I used to work for CrossFit doing the seminars. And it's like you have to keep your energy up. You have to keep people engaged. You have to, like, listen, even just listening to people and answering their questions and putting thought behind answering their questions and trying to keep everything engaging and all of that. Like, you're on, like, that's all the best way to put
it, is that you're on. The second you walk in the door, you are on.
Yes.
There's questions, there's other things you need to be doing, there's lessons you need to be thinking about presenting.
And the person you're dealing with, all the different personalities and stuff. Yeah. Like, you have to be on all day, and
you're essentially
it is
presenting
exhausting.
All day you're presenting.
And I think what the unfortunate thing is, and whether you're a teacher or you have another type of life thing, whether it's a job or something, even stay-at-home parents that has that same feeling of, like, by the end of the day, I'm just exhausted.
Yeah.
Usually that's the reason that people will say that they don't work out or they don't do their fitness, when what they're not realizing is if they did take care of themselves better, they would have more energy and they would be able to get through it better. But it's like this, like, you have to break the cycle. And for the first little bit, it's probably gonna make it harder.
Yeah.
But once you get through it, it's like this, it's hard to explain that to people.
Yeah. I think in your first 5 or so years of teaching, more than half of people quit also. It's a lot.
Emotionally,
it's a lot.
Everything.
And so then even in the summer, though,
parents, I can't even imagine the parents.
You have summers off, right? So you try to get something going, and then the school year hits and you have to completely change your schedule. And I think that doesn't help either. So, like, some people might work out in the summer, and then the second the school year hits, that's it. Well, that means 10 months out of the year you're not working out.
Right. And we say this all the time in street parking. It's like, if you're, whatever routine someone that's a teacher sets up in the summer, you're almost setting yourself up for failure. Because, like, if you set up a routine that, like, this is what I do now, it's like, okay, but is that going to be sustainable once the school year starts? And if not, like, you have to have a plan. You can't, like, expect that you're going to be able to keep this up. And we see it a lot in, like, January, where people bite off more than they can chew. Maybe for your culture at school, they bite off more than they can chew in the summer, and then when they realize they can't maintain it once the school year starts, then they just stop completely.
Yeah, I think so. Because I work out during nap time of my 3-year-old in the summer. And so when the school year hits, nap time's gone to me because he's at daycare. So there is no nap time anymore. And you have to have a completely change of mindset of when you can fit it in.
Yes, and be committed to it. So one of the other members that I interviewed today is a super early morning workout person. You're a super early. So tell me about because you're not only a full-time teacher, but you're a mom of 3 kids that are pretty young. What's your, like, daily schedule?
The morning thing I would prefer not to do more than once or twice a week. It's exhausting. So on a normal day, I get up at 4:30. On a day I work out, it's 3:30, which it's an unreasonable hour to get up.
Especially in Michigan.
Yeah. So I cherry pick, to be honest.
It's not like 3:30 in Hawaii. Like,
no,
it's just like,
and in the winter it's cold. It's dark. Yeah. So if I have to work out in the morning, I cherry pick. I pick something I want to do. I pick something cardio.
Sounds fun.
Cardio-y.
Yeah.
I like an EMOM in the morning, but I will look at the week, cherry pick. I know I'm going to probably do it only once or twice that week during the week. Set my clothes out, and I think the biggest thing is, like, the second the alarm goes off, you get out of bed. You don't sit and think about it, because if you do, you're not going to get up. You have to get up. And then once I'm out there, it's fine and you're done. But on a normal day, I'll get up at 4:30 instead of 3:30. Big difference. And
I mean, it actually is at that point, at that hour, it is a big difference.
And then the second I get home, I don't even unpack anything. I literally come in, drop my bags, change, and I'm out to the gym.
We've had members even tell us that they'll change at work.
Yeah, I've done that.
So that they don't even go inside their house. Like, I open the garage, and maybe if it's cold, I close the garage behind me, and I'm in there already. Which, if you need to, like, I feel like that's a good strategy, because it is, especially when you have kids, like, if you go in, you never know, like, what chaos might be there. And you might not have that option. You might need to or want to go, like, you know, say hi to your
Well,
family.
I used to feel guilty, but I actually don't even pick up my kids right away. So I'm high school. I get out at 2:30, which is...
Oh, you get out earlier than
I get out before them.
That's great.
So my oldest would get home at 3:20, which gives me about a 40-minute buffer. And she's fine. She's 10. But I literally start immediately. And then I know I'm leaving my kids at daycare, but it's my time. I need 30 minutes. And I do it right after work.
Right.
And then I do have a supportive husband. I will say that.
Yes.
Like, he knows that even on the weekend, I need my 30, 40 minutes. I need it. And he knows that.
You guys are, okay, so I have so many questions. So going back to, you were this incredible athlete in high school and college, and then you were not doing anything for 4 years. How hard was it, like, emotionally and mentally, to realize how out of shape you got when you started working out again?
It was terrible.
I think people also have that hurdle to overcome, especially anybody who has some sort of background in sports or fitness, where it's like they start and they don't continue because they're almost like embarrassed or like angry at themselves. And so they're like, this is too hard now. I'm past this point in my life. And then they quit because it's so uncomfortable and they used to remember loving it.
Yeah, I think what struck me with CrossFit when I first started is it was different. So I wasn't repeating a sport I had already done.
It's not like you were going out for your, like, marathon time trial.
Right. I wasn't running again. I wasn't just running again. So to me, it was different because I had never really lifted before.
Okay.
Like, I dabbled with, like, the weight room, like benching the bar, you know, but I'd never really lifted. So to me, I didn't really have a benchmark for anything. And I was horrible, but I also noticed changes, and, like, I could see success if I could just, you know, even put 5s on the bar or something. So I think starting from nothing was almost helpful because I didn't even have a standard to get to.
Your husband ended up loving CrossFit and this type of training as well. And so, like you said, you guys both got into, like, the competitive scene.
Yep.
How competitive are you with each other now?
Very, very. We're both naturally competitive people, but yeah, and it's all in good fun. We're not really,
Who's more competitive?
Probably him, to be honest.
Okay.
I think he doesn't like to lose more than me. I would say on any given day, he goes harder than I do.
Okay.
Like, that's how he is. But we put our scores up, and it's always like, I'm going to
Do you work out together?
We used
often?
to more, not anymore. It's just too hard with the kids.
Who goes first? Because that's an advantage to go
Me.
second.
I go first most of the time.
He just knows what he has to beat.
Yeah. That's what I always say. But we know what movements we're both good at too.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's been fun. And I think it's helpful because we sometimes locally compete still and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's fun.
Why do you enjoy that still? I mean, because you have a life that's already, like, so demanding. Like, what is it about doing, like, local competitions and stuff like that that's worth it for you, and not like, this is just another thing that I'm, like, adding to my plate that's not necessary?
I mean, to me, it's just fun. I like to challenge myself. I like to be tired. I like to see what we can do.
Yeah.
Or me, whatever I can do. I think it's a good challenge.
Pushes you a little bit harder.
Yeah. I don't know. I like it. I think if you don't like it, you shouldn't do it.
Right. Of course.
So I like competing. And so I do it. And I'm torn between stopping because I'm getting older and the time commitment is a lot. And the fact that I don't feel like I'm done getting better.
Yeah, you still do. I mean, because you post about it a lot in our groups. Like, you do the street parking programming, and do you do some of the extra programs?
Yep,
like, how much of the extra stuff do you do?
Every day, pretty much, I do something extra.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you take advantage of that a lot.
Right.
But you train at home, and you still go to these competitions, and you do so well.
Yeah. I did one that a couple weeks ago I actually had to qualify for.
Yeah, I remember.
So qualifying was a big deal to me. I'm like, wow, I actually can still do it working out at home alone and kind of make it.
At 3:30 in the morning.
At 3:30 in the morning, yes. And make it, you know, and that to me isn't motivating. And then even to get there was motivating. Walking on the floor, it just, like, it lights a fire.
Yeah.
And so I like that.
I think that I've said this a lot, but I think that people who do what you do, especially like the early morning stuff, there's a level of mental toughness that you can't develop unless you at least sometimes do something like that. Mm-hmm. Like, it's easy to push yourself when you're around other people in an environment with the loud music and the high energy and everything like that. It is easier to push yourself. And sometimes people will say, well, I can't work out on my own. And I don't think that, I think anybody who actually believes they can't work out on their own is the person who should force themselves to do it sometimes because there's so much to be gained from it. And so I think it actually probably helps you in competition that you're in these like situations where most people just wouldn't work out that day.
Right.
Because the conditions aren't
and
ideal.
I think people are deterred by the time they think it takes too. Like I'm not out there more than 45 minutes or an hour in total, including warm up, takedown, everything.
Well, we found out yesterday you don't really warm up.
I don't really warm up. That is true. But yeah, I think that's a deterrent too. They're like, I think I don't have this kind of time. What kind of time are you looking for? Because you really don't need a lot of time. I WOD and then I do maybe a 5x5 squat or, some accessory and I'm done. That's it. That's all that it requires.
Yeah. Do you think sometimes that you are so fit that maybe the people that work with you, because I've felt like this at certain points in my life, and now obviously everybody that I work with this wouldn't apply to, but that I felt like this with my family, that you're so fit or your habits are so strong that maybe some of the people that work with you are like, I'm not even going to ask her because like she's like, whatever she's doing, I can't do that. Like she's the wrong person. She's not going to relate to where I'm at and my issues. She can't help me because she's already got it all dialed in. Do you think that maybe your coworkers feel that way?
That, and they think it's genetic too.
That's the worst.
They don't think it's they don't see the discipline and the consistency that it took to even get where I am, because I'm food prepping and I'm consistently working out. But yeah, I think they don't want to hear it from me for sure. But the students actually are more likely to ask me what I'm doing, especially as they segue out of high school sports, maybe not into college, but they still want to do something. They're like, what is it that you do and could I possibly do it?
You told me yesterday a story about one of your former students who competed in the Olympics for weightlifting.
Yeah, she's an Olympian,
silver
medal
and she
Olympia.
Found weightlifting because of you.
Yeah, she was a gymnast who was hurt and then had to get out of gymnastics and started CrossFit and then found out that she's actually a really good lifter and then made the Olympic team within a couple years.
Isn't that crazy that you like influenced someone like that?
And then just took a silver medal in the Olympics.
That's so cool.
Which, I mean, obviously she has genetic talent there too. She's so strong.
I was talking to, and I don't know what order these are going to come out in, so I don't know if you guys have heard this episode or not yet. But I was talking to Jackson, who's here, who's 13, and we were talking about how lucky he is because he has parents who model the behavior for him. But like we were talking about kids who don't come from that family and they want to take control of like their health and fitness, but it's like they don't do the grocery shopping. They don't like, how can they do that? And I think sometimes we underestimate just any adult that you can latch on to that's like, maybe it's not your own parents, maybe it's an uncle who you see what he does. Or for me, it wasn't my own family. It was a friend of mine, actually my high school boyfriend, his mom was a spin instructor and they ate very healthy. And it was that family that I was like, oh, you guys just eat fruit to like eat fruit? Like that's weird. Like that was like a really odd thing. But like, so making sure that like, we can't, you as a teacher, you get to touch so many kids' lives, and like they might not even think about it until they're in their mid-20s and they remember you, and it might be that light bulb. So it's so awesome. I eat. Yes,
they will. They're like
boys and girls, or just girls?
Both. I think I try to maybe push the girls more because lifting is kind of still new to females, and I'd like to see more of that because I think it's important. But
it's so empowering.
But I eat in front of them too. They see what I'm eating. They're like, "Oh, you're eating, rice and eggs and broccoli for breakfast."
And they might even be like, "Oh, that's weird" or whatever. But they remember. They'll remember that their whole life.
For sure. I think the boys always want to know what I bench, which is useless.
Yeah, we talked about that yesterday. It's so weird. It's like, I don't know.
I don't bench. I mean, I do, but it's not like
you're not like maxing out.
Yeah.
Constantly.
But yeah, the other teachers, I feel like maybe not me as someone, but just an accountability. I talked to some of the people I work with who weren't consistent and became more consistent, and they latched on to somebody else. And so together they said, we're going to meet at the gym after school, 3-4 times a week, and that has helped them. And I know other teachers are morning workouters also, maybe not as early as me, but just getting it done before school, before you're tired.
Yeah. So, I mean, we talked about like, you think the reason that in general, as a profession, teachers, the reason that they're so unhealthy is because it's just, it's an exhausting job. And
money.
It's like, there's not a lot of finances.
So gym memberships or programming, which I know ours is reasonable, but you'd have to know about it, right?
Right.
But that's it too. It's like, you don't have a lot of money. either to do
Yeah.
that.
We actually have a lot of teachers within street parking
Yeah.
because of the price point, obviously, and the time commitment is so much less. And
A lot of them are morning people, though.
Yeah,
like the,
I mean, you
the
have to be.
Facebook group for teachers, there a lot of them.
how
are
many
morning.
people are on that Facebook group? Do you know?
Ooh, I don't know. I'd have to look.
If
Quite
you're a
few.
teacher, what's it called?
The street parking teachers. I think it's street parking SP teachers. I think is what it is.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. If you're a teacher and you're part of the community and you're not on that Facebook group, that'd be a good one to
Yeah,
join.
and everyone's supportive too, because we hear a lot of like, I've fallen off, I haven't worked out since school started, and other people like give tips like, you could do it then, I'll call you, do you want to Zoom, whatever.
Julian spent the last little bit. I don't know if you've seen any stuff that he's posted, but he was like helping them remodel or redo the weight room at his high school.
Yeah, it's really cool.
From like old school traditional, just like all machines to now there's like a rig in there and the turf and sleds and assault bikes and everything. And the kids have just been loving it so much. But the teachers actually will use it too. Like but it's so interesting. And again, like teenagers can be ruthless.
Yeah.
The teachers will want to make sure that they go in there when none of the kids can see them, because they're like some of the more overweight teachers and stuff like that, because they're embarrassed.
Yeah.
And they don't want to see the kids to, see them and feel embarrassed. But I don't know if most schools offer that to their staff, but that would be really a cool thing.
Mine does. Our weight room is open to any staff that wants to use it. After school you can't because the teams are in there,
Right.
but during our conference hours, our administration has told us we're more than welcome to use the weight room.
Nice.
But again, knowing where to start, right? Sweating during the school day is
Right.
not necessarily someone might want to do that. But yeah, I think even administration pushing into that direction would be beneficial.
I mean, I think even, again, I'm not a teacher, so maybe I have no idea what I'm talking about, but I think even something as simple as doing something active, even if it's walking or like rucking during your conference hour, I feel like would help you with the energy depletion that happens during the day.
Yeah, and I mean, I found that out even during pregnancy. I'd be exhausted, and I worked out through my pregnancies, but I found even if I took a walk,
felt so much
better.
You didn't want to do it, and you're like, I'm just so tired, I just want to lay down, but you feel so much better.
I don't think I've ever regretted a workout where I've just, like, even the days I'm tired, I'm like, did something. I did anything.
Right.
And then I think once you start to see results, that's when the diet cleanup happens. Like, I would feel better probably if I didn't eat this.
Yes.
And so I think there's like a natural progression that happens when you try to start being a bit more consistent, but it's going to take time. You can't do it in a week or 2 weeks it's going to probably take you the whole school year.
Yeah. Do you have any, if you knew that your coworkers or maybe just other teachers, because I think that's such an important group to try to help, because I mean, these are the people that are like essentially sacrificing so much to help shape our like kids. And they, I believe, as much as sometimes, school or teachers get a bad rap, like I believe that most of the people that get into teaching are doing it because they genuinely want to help kids and they love helping people learn and grow and everything like that. Like, what would your advice be to somebody who's like maybe where you were when you were, hadn't worked out for 4 years, or maybe somebody who's never really found consistency? Like, as a teacher, what would you tell them to do to start?
You got to just start, to be honest.
Choose something.
Do something. Even just start with 2 days a week.
Right.
Something.
I think that's really good advice, because I think almost all the time people are like, well, I have to choose this, like, I have to do 5 days a week or it's not even worth it.
But you need to schedule it in advance. Like, teachers, we have a very set schedule, which is the other part of the problem. Is there's no flexibility in the day.
Right.
You're there from 7 to 3 or whatever you are, and that's it. There's no like lunchtime thing. We have 20 minutes. And so you might say, like, on Tuesdays and Thursdays I work out. It's clear expectations to your family, to yourself. Like, these are my days I'm going to work out, and you just start there.
Or even like, hey, maybe I only work out on Saturday and Sunday.
Right.
Like, knowing that's enough to make a difference, and then eventually you'll be like, all right, maybe I'll throw something in on a Tuesday.
One day during the week.
And now you're at 3 days a week, and that's pretty good, So.
But I think teachers in general, though, one of the most important things about my job is my relationship with my students.
Right.
Like, it's not always about content. Like, forming the relationships with them is really important, and
because then they listen to you.
So
then the content goes in and stays in.
Right. And so I don't know. I feel like your you're such a good person to be a good example.
Yes.
Regardless of where your student's coming from. Like you mentioned your friend's house. Well, they might not have a house that supports it, but they can. I'm in front of 160 kids during the day, and I can be that good example.
Yes, exactly.
I'm a working mom. I'm a teacher.
You're an example, whether it's a good one or not.
Right.
Everyone
exactly.
that like is interacting with kids, you're an example, whether you're
Yep.
setting a good one or a not good one. So you might as well,
Be a good, yeah.
Yeah.
I agree completely.
Why is health and fitness so important to you personally?
My family genetics are not great. Both my grandpas died unbelievably young in their 50s.
Oh, wow.
And then my uncle died in his 50s. And then my mom, who got me started at her blood work, is already showing, high cholesterol, all these other things. And I think I'm combating something I can't help. So the only thing I can control is what I do to my body and what I put into it. So I think I want to be around for my kids and my grandkids. And so I have to be healthy because I don't have genetics on my side.
I think that's a really good answer. And I think instead of just being like, oh, this is my fate, like it might be, but you also have more control than you might think that you do. And a lot of people do.
My mom's is a street parking member. She's 65, and she's not even on her medications anymore.
Wow.
Just adjusting her diet and making
That's awesome.
Working out a priority.
Yeah. And then if you had one piece of advice just to street parking members in general, whether it's somebody who just started or somebody who is maybe still has a hard time finding their consistency, the advice could be like about join a challenge or find a consistent or an accountability partner or do the template, like whatever it is. What would be like your one piece of advice for street parking members?
Oh, I would probably say find something that you enjoy about it. There's so many pieces to this kind of fitness, whether it's endurance or lifting or just you like kettlebell swings. I don't know. Find something that you like. Do you like EMOMs? Do you like AMRAPs? And just start there. Because once you have like...
It's okay to cherry pick, especially at first.
Right.
If it's going to get you to do it.
And find your joy. And then, that moves to consistency, hopefully.
All right. Well, I can't wait for people to see how our workout together went. Mostly because I died. Okay?
I was not
and
well either.
Ashley crushed it. We will not give away what it was. But there's going to be some funny photos from that for sure. And you guys will get to enjoy it as well. But it's been so good to have you here.
Thank you.
Thank you.